Hey, everybody, what's going on? And welcome to another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This is the Wednesday edition, and I'm excited about coming to you to give you an extra show because last night we had the opening night of the NBA. I have some thoughts. Also, the rich get richer. Thanos has just put his sixth infinity stone in that gauntlet, and now it looks like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win another Super Bowl as they get DeAndre Hopkins in a trade. Are you kidding me? This is what the Chiefs do, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked this morning when I saw that on my sports headline when I was checking my phone. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I know there's been talks about that, but I'll get into that. I don't think anybody's beating the Chiefs. And now, as a 49ers fan, I shouldn't feel too bad about the 49ers' woes at 3-4. And then I will also get into Atlanta United. They get a big win in the play-in game in the MLS playoffs. Congratulations to the Five Stripes. We're just going hard in this show. It's a jam-packed show. I do want to have a special tribute to the longtime Dodger pitcher Fernando Valenzuela, who passed away last night. This is tough. Age 63. And you talk about, a staple, Fernando Mania, the early 80s, part of that 1981 World Series team, the last time the Dodgers played the Yankees in the World Series. I will get into his legacy and going through his stats and talking about the impact that he had, especially on a Dodgers community in the early 80s with, the Dodgers and the culture and everything. And it was just a great moment for, the city of LA. But yeah, it's a sad day in Los Angeles, especially if you're a Dodgers fan. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with the two NBA games that we had last night. Let's start with the Boston Celtics. They hung their 18th banner. In fact, they even trolled the Lakers a little bit. They had a little graphic saying, they had 18 championships. The Lakers had 17 with an asterisk, and it said includes the Disney World Championship. I thought that was pretty funny. A good job by the Boston Celtics trolling Lakers fans. And, you got to love this rivalry. The Boston Celtics are looking to run it back, and it starts with Jason Tatum, who could possibly win MVP. First of all, before I get into this game, it's a little tough to watch probably the greatest pregame show and postgame show of all time inside the NBA. This is going to be the final year. I love the banter back and forth between these four. Ernie Johnson, you got Shaq, Kenny Smith, and Charles Barkley. Here's the thing. You can't break up these four. Ernie Johnson is not leaving TNT. I know there was talks if NBC now is getting the NBA or Amazon, could they still have Inside the NBA? It's going to be another main host. It's not going to be Ernie Johnson. It would not be the same. And I just don't see these four getting broken up. Maybe down the future, if TNT ever gets, the NBA back, I think that you got to keep these four together. It's wildly entertaining. I love it. And it's sad that this is going to be the final year. But let's talk about the game. I actually whiffed on this pick. I thought the Knicks were going to win this game. The Knicks just did not look very good. It was the Boston Celtics. By the way, the Knicks did shoot 55%. It was the Boston Celtics that hit 29 threes. They were going for the record, and they ended up missing 13 straight threes. And it was a special night. The Knicks defense. Where was the Knicks defense on this night? I thought that Tom Thibodeau was a defensive specialist. The Boston Celtics put up 132. It was Jason Tatum, 37 points. He had 10 assists as well. Every starter, the five starters, were all in double figures, to include Derek White and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had 23 points. By the way, I'm actually creating a debate. Who is the best active NBA player that was born in Georgia? And I'm going back and forth between Jaylen Brown and Anthony Edwards. These two players are fantastic. But Jaylen Brown, Marietta's own that played over at Joseph Wheeler High and went to Cal, like his lifelong idol, Sharif Abdul-Rahim. He had 23 points. Drew Holiday, 18 points, but he's a defensive specialist who can also play on the offensive side of the ball. And then Al Horford, the ageless one, who's getting up there in age. He's not quite as old as LeBron, but Al Horford with 11 points. And the Celtics looking like they're going to run it back. This Celtics team looks unstoppable. I know it was opening night. Let's not overreact the first night of the NBA. There's still a lot of basketball to play, and I think that there are some teams in the East that could challenge the Boston Celtics. The Knicks were one of them. I thought the New York Knicks could challenge the Boston Celtics. The Knicks still trying to figure out, Karl Anthony Towns' role. I mean, he did play 24 minutes, had 12 points. Jalen Brunson, 22 points. We need to see more out of him. We need to see more out of Mikal Bridges. He only had 16 points. Big bright spot for the Knicks was Miles McBride coming off the bench with 22 points. I still think the Knicks are going to be good. It's just this was Boston's night. They hang their banner, 18th championship, and Jason Tatum says, let's run it back. And I think that they will run it back. All right. I mean, this was, the opening act for what everybody wanted to see. And, unfortunately, this game was at 10 o'clock at night. I stayed up a little bit to watch this. In fact, I stayed up all the way to the end. The Los Angeles Lakers getting the win over the Minnesota Timberwolves in the debut of head coach J.J. Redick. That really wasn't the story because history was made with about 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. LeBron James and Bronny James check in at the scorer's table and they enter the court. In the first time in NBA history, we have a father-son that take the floor in a regular season NBA game. I admit, I've been a part of the hype train. I've really wanted to see this as a sports fan, but I also feel that they shoved this down our throat. Bronny James clearly is not an NBA player. J.J. Redick only played him 3 minutes. He had 1 rebound. He was 0 from 2 from the field. LeBron James did pass it to Bronny James, and he shot a 3 and missed. Imagine if Bronny James would have made that 3. That would have been a great moment. This is still a great moment, and LeBron has earned the right to have his son in a game with him. But I think that they got it out of the way, and I'm glad they did because I think that Bronny James is going down to the D-League. He has got to improve as a basketball player. If he's going to be in this league, and I think he's talented, he could be a role player, down the road. When LeBron hangs it up and finally retires, Bronny James is going to be a role player. I don't know how long he's going to play in the NBA, but I'm here to say LeBron has had the right to make this moment happen. I loved how they took a picture with Ken Griffey Sr. and Ken Griffey Jr. I know that a lot of sports announcers are saying, oh, this is the first time since Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. No, remember Tim Raines and Tim Raines Jr. also played in a game together. So, we're forgetting about that. We're forgetting about Gordie Howe and his 2 sons. So, I've been watching ESPN. By the way, ESPN is licking their chops. They're hyping this thing up. But let's talk about the game. I didn't come here on my show to talk 20 minutes about LeBron and Bronny. It's done. It's over with. It was a great moment. I'm glad it happened. But the Lakers are trying to win a championship. I know that Charles Barkley said on the Inside the NBA show that Lakers are not winning a championship. They're at best a number 9 seed. They're probably going to get into the playing game. I don't know, Charles. That's a little harsh. I do think the Lakers might have an MVP candidate in Anthony Davis. What a game. 36 points, 16 rebounds. I mean, he played 38 minutes. When Anthony Davis is healthy, the Lakers look like a team that can be unstoppable. I still feel the Denver Nuggets is their Achilles heel. But the Los Angeles Lakers with Anthony Davis, this is now AD's team. LeBron is about to turn 40 in December. Even though LeBron, by the way, playing at a high level, he had 16 points. The fact that LeBron is 39 years old and he's got a son in the league, that's an accomplishment too. I'm excited just to see, even though I'm not a Lakers fan, I'm excited to see, the growth of the game as it continues to grow and these teams continue to get better. If the Lakers are good, the NBA is good. This is good for the league. And, I know that the casual NBA fan would want to see Lakers Celtics in the NBA finals, but you got to get the role players to contribute. I think that Rui Hachimura did a good job with 18 points. Austin Reeves, he did okay. D'Angelo Russell didn't shoot the ball very well, but the Lakers, who led for most of the game, they were able to hold off the Minnesota Timberwolves and the surgence of Anthony Edwards, who can get a shot anytime he wants. He had 27 points. Rudy Gobert, you just gave him the bag, and he was supposed to be Defensive Player of the Year. What happened to trying to stop Anthony Davis? That didn't happen. And then Jaden McDaniels had an off night. I mean, Anthony Edwards said at the end of the game that if the shots go down, the Timberwolves are winning this game. Yes, it is opening night. I'm excited because I love the NBA, but I'm just going to throw that out there. Dante DiVincenzo only had 10 points. And then the debut of Julius Randle, he had 16 points. I thought when they traded away Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks that the Timberwolves would get a little bit more depth getting Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. But, the Timberwolves are still going to be one of the top teams in the West. This was just a great night for Laker fans at the Crypto Arena. They finally get over the hump and they win an opening night game. They lost 6 straight before this game. And if you're a Lakers fan, you got to be happy about that. I don't know if Bronny James gets back into an NBA game anytime soon. I think he's going to the D League, but it was a special night for NBA fans altogether. And TNT just does it big like they always do on opening night. I was just excited that the NBA is finally here. Now, here's the night where we got a lot of teams in action, and I do want to break down some of these games as I take that graphic off. All right, and I don't have a Hawks graphic, but the local team that we cover here on the show is the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks, we're going to get to see this new look Hawks team. We're going to see the debut of the number 1 overall pick, Zachary Rezaschur. Although he's not projected to be a starter, this is going to be what a team looks like with Trae Young minus DeJounte Murray, who's now in New Orleans. I think that the Atlanta Hawks might have gotten a little bit more depth in that DeJounte Murray trade. And Trae Young is probably going to average about 27, 28 points a game. He's going to be their all-star. I hope he makes the all-star team this year because he deserves to make the all-star team. Because, he's a fantastic talent. I just wish that he would be a little bit more, vocal on the court and be more of a defensive player, which he's not. So you got Trae Young as the point guard. And then your projected shooting guard is Dyson Daniels. So Dyson Daniels was a high first-round draft pick. Excuse me for a second. I mean, even I get kind of little bored at times. Not to take a quote from Han Solo from Star Wars. Anyway, the Atlanta Hawks, they're taking on the Brooklyn Nets tonight at State Farm Arena. Jalen Johnson looks amazing. I think that he could be an all-star. You got Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu, the centers. And the Hawks, I want to see what they do against I want to see what they do against the Brooklyn Nets because I think that, Brooklyn, sold the farm, just getting rid of Mikal Bridges. And I don't even know if Brooklyn has any pieces left. I mean, they do have Cam Thomas. Brooklyn's not a good team. The Hawks are going to be without Cody Zeller. That was the big pickup in the offseason. Kobe Buffkin is going to be out. He was the point guard that's supposed to be backing up Trae Young. And we'll see how they do tonight, State Farm Arena, taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Meanwhile, on ESPN, 7:30, you got the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers are going to be without Joel Embiid and Paul George. This is really where Tyrese Maxey could just say, hey, I'm the number 2 guy on this team. I know that Paul George you imagine Embiid, Maxey, and George, if they're all healthy, I think the Sixers, could keep things interesting against the Celtics. The Celtics are deep. I mean, come on. One game I'm really excited about to see Lonzo Ball back in a Chicago Bulls uniform. The Bulls don't have DeMar DeRozan anymore. He is in Sacramento. You got the Suns and the Clippers. Clippers are going to be without Kawhi Leonard. The big three got to figure it out in Phoenix with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. It's the coaching debut of Mike Budenholzer. Late tonight, the new look Warriors. You got Steph Curry and Buddy Hield in the backcourt. Andrew Wiggins is still on the team. Draymond Green, as long as he doesn't get suspended, he's still a defensive force, even though he's getting up there in age. And then you still have Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga. The Warriors are a borderline playoff team. Let's not get it twisted. Klay Thompson was a non-factor last year, so getting rid of Klay Thompson, I don't think he's going to have an impact with the Dallas Mavericks. By the way, Thursday, the Dallas Mavericks are taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Very interested to see Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama playing together. Looking forward to that. I'm excited about the NBA. As you know, a couple weeks ago, I had my NBA preview show. I think the NBA Finals is going to be the Nuggets and the Celtics. I think that even though the Denver Nuggets got rid of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's now with the Magic. They locked up Aaron Gordon to a long-term deal. You got Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. The Nuggets pieces are still in place to compete for a championship. There's no question about that. And then some of the other games, we got the Grizzlies, Ja Morant coming back from that injury, taking on the Utah Jazz. Like I said, Bulls, Pelicans, Pacers, Pistons. I mean, come on. The Pistons, with everything that has happened to them and all the talent they have, Cade Cunningham, you've got Jay Ivey, and you also have James Wiseman, Marvin Bagley III. I don't think he's on that team. I don't know. Usar Thompson, he's going to be out. But I also am just interested to see how Alex Sarr does for the Washington Wizards. I said that the rookie of the year, I think it could be Reed Shepherd. I think it could be maybe Stephon Castle. I don't know. I don't know. Stephon Castle plays point guard. I don't know if he's going to take minutes away from Chris Paul. But I love the NBA. It's back. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to be breaking down the NBA games on this show. I'm a lifelong basketball fan. I loved playing basketball when I was a kid, grew up rooting for the Golden State Warriors. I admit, I've been taking some criticism. I'm the biggest bandwagon NBA fan of all time. I had my phases when I was a kid, rooting for the Warriors growing up when I was a kid. I also secondarily rooted for the Chicago Bulls because of Michael Jordan, rooted for the Magic at one point because of Shaq and Penny. Or I even rooted for the Milwaukee Bucks because I was a big fan of Glenn Robinson. And then I actually, when I moved to Sacramento in 1997, jumped on the Kings bandwagon from 97 to 2005. And then when I moved to Atlanta in 2006, I started rooting for the Hawks because I thought that was a fascinating story with Joe Johnson, Al Horford, Josh Smith. And the Hawks are still relevant. And I would like to see the Hawks make the playoffs. I just think the East is tough. And we'll go ahead and switch gears. We talked a lot about the NBA. Atlanta United, they win against CF Montreal, faced a familiar foe in Joseph Martinez. They ended up winning the match. They were up 2-0. They ended up winning it on penalty kicks. Joseph Martinez, by the way, scored the game tying goal in the 89th minute. And Atlanta United is going to take on the number 1 team in the MLS this Saturday, Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. That's going to be a tough order for Atlanta United to win that game. I think that you got Inter Miami playing at a very high level. I think the Inter Miami ends up winning that game. All right, like I mentioned, the World Series. Game 1 this Friday between the Yankees and the Dodgers, and it's just a sad note. The passing of Fernando Valenzuela, who was a Dodger legend. He died at the age of 63. Fernando Mania. I remember he came on the scene as a 20-year-old in 1981. He won Rookie of the Year and he won the Cy Young, and he helped the Dodgers win the World Series in 1981. He would later win another World Series with the Dodgers in 1988, even though he was injured that year and he only had 5 wins. But looking at his stats, and a big shout out to baseballreference.com. I always enjoy this website. He wins Rookie of the Year and MVP in 1981. Fernando Mania is just tearing the city by storm. I mean, they can't get enough of this guy. He wins 19 wins in 1982. He was a 6-time All-Star, plagued by injuries in 1987, won 21 games in 1986. I thought that Fernando Valenzuela was a staple and an icon for the Los Angeles community, especially Dodger Stadium being in East LA. I thought that he was just an icon for the Hispanic culture. I think that Fernando Valenzuela is beloved by Dodger Nation. And this is sad that he passed away at the age of 63. He would go on to later play for the California Angels in 1991. He played in the Mexican leagues in 92. Went on to play for the Baltimore Orioles in 93. Retired at the age of 36 from the St. Louis Cardinals. Played a total of 17 years. Won 173 games. He had a 3.54 earned run average. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. I think if the injuries didn't plague him, I think that he's a Hall of Famer because he had an MLB career that was on pace, kind of like what Doc Gooden did with the Mets. Fernando Valenzuela was off to a hot start at the age of 20, pitching at a high level, and he really took the league by storm. Played a total of 11 years with the Dodgers, played 3 years with the Padres, and then with the Phillies, the Cardinals, Angels, and the Orioles. Yeah, he will be missed. He was an icon. I love that ESPN 30 for 30 Fernando Mania. It is definitely a must-watch, and Fernando Valenzuela passed away at the age of 63. All right, so here's what we got going on here on the Sports Beat. I do want to talk about an NFL transaction that happened late last night as I'm pulling my phone and I'm thinking, no, you've got to be kidding me. The Kansas City Chiefs are finalizing a deal to get DeAndre Hopkins from the Tennessee Titans. For those of you that don't know, DeAndre Hopkins played for the Texans. He played for the Cardinals. Then he gets traded to the Titans. DeAndre Hopkins is a difference maker. And the only reason why he's not putting up numbers in Tennessee is because Tennessee has Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. He's not getting the ball. Imagine what he can do in Patrick Mahomes' offense. I actually rival this move by the Kansas City Chiefs to the one when the Patriots acquired Randy Moss from the Raiders in 2007. This could probably elevate Patrick Mahomes' passing yards. He's having his worst statistical passing career so far in the season. It's the defense that actually leading the Kansas City Chiefs. It's over. It's absolutely over. The Kansas City Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl now. DeAndre Hopkins is that much of a difference maker. And I think with Travis Kelce in his decline years, they have an old Kareem Hunt who last played with the Chiefs back in 2018. I think it's a done deal. The Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year. I don't think anybody's stopping them, even the Baltimore Ravens. That's how much DeAndre Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins is better than Tyreek Hill. I'm here to say that. Anyway, that was my rant. Not happy this morning. Absolutely not happy with the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. Well, it's been a fun show. I made it through it. I almost lost my voice. I know with the weather changing, and I remember last year when I completely lost my voice and I had to call a game. That was very tough. But it's been a lot of fun. Don't forget tomorrow's show. We're just going to run through week 11 in high school football. I might do a best of show. This is the third straight day that I've done an additional show on my Facebook Live and YouTube channel. But don't forget, you can like and subscribe to the Facebook page and YouTube. I'm also found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is episode 933, and I'm hoping that I can get to 1,000 episodes by the end of the year. In fact, I'm actually looking right now at the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Yep, 933. I'm getting there. This has been a lifelong dream of mine to do sports talk radio. Had my shot in college, it didn't work out. There's always better broadcasters, and when you're doing the broadcasting thing, you have really got to get your personality just down. You got to find your niche and just stick with it. And I felt like I found my niche. I love talking national sports, but my niche is local sports to Columbus because I'm sitting there and I'm studying the teams. I'm researching everything. I'm picking the brain of other talented broadcasters. That's what you got to do in this industry. You got to keep grinding and putting out the content that you deserve. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day.